Since its opening in 1955, horrific tales of harsh conditions, brutal treatment, and mysterious deaths have circulated about Ashwell Prison. The parish of Burley, England, constructed the prison on the remnants of an old World War II base near Rutland, where it would house hundreds of dangerous and violent inmates. Initially, the prison received positive feedback. The dark realities of the prison quickly revealed themselves as the years passed by, however, as many terrible fates befell both inmates and employees alike. By the late 1970s, the prison's reputation had grown dark. Reports of inhumane treatment by guards spread like wildfire, fueling resentment among the incarcerated population. Inmates, burdened already by their circumstances, found themselves pushed to the brink, their anger boiling over into riots and acts of rebellion. The prison's dark legacy finally culminated in several huge riots, multiple unexplained deaths, and continuous reports of ghastly attacks that saw the prison reduced to a shell of its former self. Between all the murders, riots, and reports of mistreatment, one question lingers. Just what was really going on inside England's most haunted prison? Stick with us today as we uncover the real scary things that happened at Ashwell Prison. Stick around until the end to uncover the most bone-chilling secret of all. As the end of World War II drew near, the regional governments of the Allied nations collaboratively repurposed many old military bases throughout Europe. One of England's premier projects was the erection of Ashwell Prison upon a U.S. Army base. Initially classified as a Category D facility, the prison grew rapidly and, after expansion, grew to house about 600 violent male inmates. By the late 1950s, Ashwell established itself as the crown jewel of the British penal system. For many, it served as a testament to English ingenuity after the horrors of World War II. However, it would only be a matter of time before opinions of Ashwell shifted dramatically. In the mid-1970s, reports of horrible mistreatment surfaced. Prisoners reported instances of violent abuse by guards, including torture techniques like starvation, solitary confinement, and routine beatings. Despite growing public support and outcry, the executive staff of Ashwell never addressed the rumors. At about this same time, inmates began making far more terrifying claims that someone, or perhaps something, was lurking in the shadows and attacking prisoners at random. Reportedly, a strange figure stalked the corridors of Ashwell at night, prisoners and staff alike returning to their stations and cells after hours, claimed to feel as though they were being stalked by someone in the dark corridors. Some claimants said this entity had not only stalked them, but had in fact viciously attacked them. Few believed these claims until 1978, when the prison experienced its first death in custody. That year, Ashwell announced one of its prisoners had died within the interior corridors late at night, with no explanation provided for the circumstances or causes. Many Burley Parish residents began suspecting that the earlier claims of mistreatment at the hands of the prison staff were in fact true. The community pushed back and organized, eventually leading to the reform of Ashwell in 1987, when it became a Category C establishment. However, the realities of prison life horrors would not end here. Despite the reform in 1987, horrific incidents continued to unfold within the depths of Ashwell. Prisoners continued to file complaints about the mysterious attacker within the corridors, and tensions between prisoner gangs escalated as what seemed to be some type of mass paranoia slowly closed its grip on the prison. The very air seemed to thicken with dread, suffocating those who walked through its solemn halls. More chilling and unexplained deaths continued to occur between 1978 and 2003. By the end of this era, a chilling death count had already stained Ashwell's history. Yet, the worst was yet to come. 2003 marked a turning point when the simmering tensions fueled by paranoia and abuse erupted into a merciless riot of chaos. Following a fellow inmate's mysterious death in the early 2000s, 4 prisoners tore through the prison as if possessed by something unearthly. Ending their tirade in one of the prison's isolated wings, they barricaded themselves inside. The 4 rioters then ransacked the wing, leaving behind a wave of destruction in their path. Several hours after their initial riot, the prisoners were finally subdued and hauled off for questioning. After several interrogations, the prisoners collectively admitted to being influenced by what they called a dark presence to start the riot. Thinking the prisoners were insane, the staff sent all 4 of them off for strict punishment in solitary confinement, where all 4 of the men would gradually descend further into insanity. Yet, this was only a prelude to the nightmare that would unfold 6 years later. In 2009, the very foundations of Ashwell trembled as another riot, this time of unprecedented scale, engulfed the prison. 400 prisoners, driven mad by the institution's oppression, rose in a mass riot of violence. Over 400 of Ashwell's 600 inmates engaged in a massive brawl. The frenzy caused severe injuries to 13 inmates, but it was the prison itself that suffered the most. Fires raged, windows shattered. Inmates and guards alike attacked one another as though possessed or possibly directed by some otherworldly evil. By the time the chaos subsided, the fires and looting rendered 75% of Ashwell uninhabitable. This was the final nail in the coffin for Ashwell, as it would close its doors permanently 2 years later in 2011. By Ashwell's end, 14 people had died within its halls. Again, none of these deaths would receive any detailed explanation, and Ashwell's symbolic existence deteriorated to dust. Still, the genuine mystery of Ashwell remained unanswered. What had caused the horrific cycle of violence within the prison, and who or what was the stalker in the dark hallways? Many have ventured into Ashwell Prison in search of answers to these questions, only to encounter the same phenomena cited by inmates that still defy explanation. Doors often slam shut on their own. Objects move as if manipulated by unseen hands. Even skeptical visitors usually question their beliefs when faced with such undeniable evidence of the occult. Many ghost hunting teams have captured chilling evidence of paranormal activity within the prison cells themselves, including mysterious voices pleading for release and shadowy figures dashing between prison blocks. The sounds of breaking glass often catch visitors off guard, followed by screeching noises from far hallways, almost as though doors were repeatedly opening and closing. The visitors who experience these terrifying sounds report an extreme feeling of uneasiness and a dark, crushing weight upon their minds, as though something were trying to enter their brain. Ashwell's hauntings go even further than this, though, as though everything was orchestrated by an entity from the beyond. Those who dare to enter the prison at night speak of an overwhelming sense of unease, as if the very air is heavy. Nighttime visitors to the prison consistently report the same eerie feeling of being watched within the winding corridors, where many of Ashwell's inmates met their demise. The select few visitors who remain in the prison after enduring the initial onslaught of this primal fear report the total and sudden absence of noise, light, or warmth within the depths of the prison. Breaking this uneasy void is the noise of a weeping man, often originating from behind visitors and ghost hunters. The few who haven't already sped out of the prison at this point report an overwhelming desire to do so. Before entirely escaping the grasp of Ashwell, the prison unleashes one last assault. Nocturnal visitors running away from the uncanny cries of the corridor spirits say that a final piercing sound pierces the wrinkles of their minds as they make for the exit. According to some who have experienced this phenomenon, the high-pitched noise faintly resembles a disembodied voice calling out to them, "Run or die." What exactly is the source of these supernatural occurrences is of some debate, but several excellent theories abound. Despite efforts to debunk the claims of paranormal activity, the haunting of Ashwell Prison persists. Some believe that the violent history of Ashwell Prison has left behind a psychic imprint, a lingering energy that manifests as ghostly apparitions and unexplained phenomena. The suffering and anguish of past inmates seem to have seeped into the very fabric of the prison. Mediums and spiritualists who claim to have communicated with the spirits trapped within the prison say the restless voices of the 14 dead inmates still cry out loudly, as though in anguish. Some psychics have said these voices cry out for help, stating they're being tortured by yet another being, the spirit in the corridor. The leading theory emerging from this revelation is that the corridor being is the original dark inhabitant of Ashwell. Some ghost hunters have speculated that the spirit is a lost soul from World War II, angry at the prison's construction on his former military base. Others suspect the being is a demon who preyed on the hatred and paranoia of Ashwell's inmates as they suffered terrible abuse at the hands of the staff. Either way, this spirit clearly possesses the ability to invade and manipulate the minds of those within the confines of the prison, which could explain the series of violent deaths and riots over the years. Visitors report feeling overwhelmed by emotions they cannot explain, as if they are reliving the trauma of the past. Some even claim to have experienced vivid hallucinations, seeing visions of the prison as it once was, filled with the suffering of those imprisoned within. Perhaps the prisoners from the 2003 riot were telling the truth after all, and the real perpetrator of the violent past of Ashwell was a being born of pure hatred. Could this being still manipulate the lost spirits of Ashwell today? Perhaps this is the true reason the prison itself still seems to be plagued by relics of the past. A greater evil still at work within the confines of Ashwell's walls never truly left, but imprisoned the other lost spirits of the inmates. Or perhaps the truth is even more disturbing still. Ashwell Prison, erected out of necessity during a bleak period of world history, long stood as a testament to England's ingenuity, craftsmanship, and dedication to excellence within a recovering society. Behind all this, though, is the bleak reality of Ashwell. Beyond the supernatural entities and the stories of torture is the tale of a simple prison, built to house the dregs of society and designed to keep them away from those who they might seek to harm. Whether some supernatural evil lurks within Ashwell is secondary to the truth that some observable evil lurks within Ashwell as its inhabitants. There have been several theories made that the malevolent being who haunts the inner corridors of Ashwell is something far worse than a wayward spirit or a displaced ghost. Rather, perhaps this being is evil incarnate, spawned from the depths of hell itself. It is possible that the animosity and cruelty of the inmates of Ashwell acted as a bridge between our world and the world of demons, inviting this malevolent force in through the embrace of hatred, pain, and cruelty. That this demon spawn may be the real force behind the veil of Ashwell is the most disturbing theory of all. The haunting of Ashwell Prison serves as a chilling reminder of the depths of pain and the enduring legacy of the evil within people that serves as a medium for far darker and more sinister entities. Despite the haunting unknowns of the prison, one thing to be sure of is the enduring terror of prison life and the suffering those who once called Ashwell home experienced. Carrying 14 deaths, 2 massive riots, and a series of occult hauntings with its name, the infamous English prison will inevitably forever live on eternally in the minds and lives of those touched by its dark influence. So, the next time you find yourself alone and scared in the depths of a terrifying ordeal, remember Ashwell and its dark corridors. Because when your mind bends and you feel the grip of fear take hold, the evil beings could look for new prey. And who's saying you're not next on the menu? What do you think the dark entity of Ashwell Prison is? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, watch our previous video on the ghostly haunts of Waverly Hills Sanatorium to see another haunted location. Link in the description below.